FAR 52-222-90 DEI restriction clause, it's now confirmed and fully active. So here's the big picture. The clause prohibits contractors from engaging in what Executive Order 14398 calls racially discriminatory DEI activities, defined as desperate treatment based on race or ethnicity in recruitment, employment, contracting, program participation, or the allocation of resources. So this is the specific definition, and non-compliance is now expressed. So basically, non-compliance is a cause for debarment or suspension and is written directly into the FAR part. Compliance is material to payment decisions, and that phrase connects directly to the False Claim Act. For existing contracts above $15,000 with U.S. performance, contracting officers are directed to bilaterally modify the contracts by July 24th, 2026. If you refuse, the contracting officers have also been directed to consider terminating the contracts for convenience. It flows down to subcontracts at any tier, including commercial products and services. The lawsuit hasn't produced an injunction yet. The Fourth Circuit already vacated an injunction against earlier DEI executive orders. A legal challenge does not pause enforcement unless a court issues an order, and it has not yet. So agencies are using it in new solicitations right now. If you do not have formal internal DEI programs built around race-based preferences, then this will just be a confirmation step and not a structural overhaul. So read it like I said earlier and certify what you need to certify. Here's what you need to do. Okay, prime contractors, inventory in scope contracts now. Get legal counsel engaged before any mods arrive. This is for all contractors. Check your solicitations for the clause before you submit an offer. And then subcontractors, get with your primes. Talk to them to see exactly what the clause language exactly says. Compare, FAR 52-222-90 to what's actually being pushed down into your subcontracts, and to make sure that the language they're putting in your subcontracts, they're not exceeding what the clause actually says. And if it do, that could be a point that you need to negotiate or push back on.
If you're in government contracting and you constantly feel like you're the last to find out what's going on, I get it. There's a lot of noise out there, not a lot of clarity. That's literally why I built GovCon Ready in 30 on School. Every week, I put out a full acquisition intelligence brief, what changed, what didn't, and what you can actually do about it. We cover regulations, GAO decisions, market signals, opportunities, all of it, broken down so it actually makes sense. We go live every Tuesday, and you can ask me anything directly. It's free to join. The link's in the bio.
This item is a continuation from last week. So now let's look at something brand new this week that is just as impactful. So there's a new executive order that just said that fixed price contracts is now the default from now on. So that doesn't mean that every contract instantly becomes a fixed price type contract. It only means that agencies need written justification when they want to use a cost reimbursement, time and material, or labor hour contract. And for bigger contracts, that justification has to go all the way up to the agency head. So the dollar threshold for agency head approval is the Department of War, $100 million, NASA, $35 million, DHS, $25 million, and all other agencies, $10 million. For existing contracts, agency heads have about 90 days. So up until July 29th, 2026, they have until that date to review their 10 largest non-fixed price type contracts. And where practicable, they have to seek to modify or renegotiate those contracts. So official guidance will be produced by agencies by OMB approximately June 14th, 2026. And OFPP for amendments proposed approximately by August 28th, 2026. So even though this isn't in the FAR yet, the behavioral fallout starts now. The FAR and clause text will change later, but agency contracting offices are implementing this executive order today. The executive order has exceptions for emergencies, R&D, and major system development under FAR Parts 34 and 35. Fixed price is the preference, but it's not an absolute mandate. So if your primary focus is to sell hours or people first, then I would encourage you to learn more or lean more into selling results, scope, milestones, and measurable outcomes, because this is where the market is heading to. Professional services, IT support, advisory work, PMO, and staff augmentation are the areas that may feel this shift the first. So also, any work structured as hours giving a timely rate, you're going to feel it in that area as well. So for this executive order, here's what you need to do. Review your pipeline and flag anything that sounds like open-ended labor support. Tighten scope language, sharpen deliverables, build clear assumption sections. Also, don't throw away your cost type expertise. Pursue it where the requirement genuinely supports it with a clear justification. So the same day this executive order was signed, DHS finally got its funding back. Now let's talk about that for a little bit. Like I said, like we talked about earlier, DHS is back open after 76 days, and this is the longest single agency shutdown in the United States history. TSA, FEMA, CISA, which is also a cybersecurity and infrastructure security agency, Coast Guard, and the Secret Service, they're all funded and operational now. So the backlog of work caused by this 76-day shutdown will now start to flow. So those evaluations, options, market research, acquisition planning, everything that was held up, they'll start moving forward, but I don't expect the bottleneck to clear up immediately. Now, be aware that TSA lost over 1,100 officers. FEMA is compressed heading into hurricane season, and agencies are funded, but they're not fully recovered, and their funding is only good through May 22nd. So expect process friction. So I've highlighted this before, and it's worth mentioning again because this is a critical thing to watch, and it's funding. DHS funding only runs through May 22nd. So if Congress doesn't act, there's a risk for another gap in their funding. So if you're interested in DHS, this week is the week to renegotiate or re-engage, not to renegotiate, but to re-engage. And don't assume silence means your actions or opportunities are dead. The next item is the annual notice that is specific to DoD is the product categories where Federal Prison Industries has more than 5% of the DoD market, and it must be competed by or starting May 16th. Federal Prison Industries, also called FPI or Unicor, is a government-owned corporation that manufactures products using federal prison inmates as its workforce. Its product line includes office furniture, clothing and uniforms, electronic assembly, mattresses, vehicle components, and agricultural goods. It operates inside federal prisons because they're using basically prisoners, and has historically supplied those products directly to federal agencies, including the Department of Defense. There, there isn't anything that you need to do really about this. It's just something that you need to know and understand if your business manufactures, assembles, or distributes physical products, like I mentioned above, and you're trying to sell to the DoD. The categories most commonly affected include textile and apparel, office furniture, electronic components, safety equipment, agribusiness products, and certain vehicle parts and components. Now, this is relevant or important to you. The so what factor is basically if you see more opportunities in your area or around these areas, then this could be a cause of the uptick in solicitations that you can be responding to. So respond to them as normal. There's nothing special that you need to do. Just be aware of the 5% limit. If FPI has, that threshold, then it's going to be open up to be competed after the deadline. Okay, the next notice is the DFARS Performance-Based Payment Information Collection Notice. In this notice, the DoD is seeking OMB approval to continue collecting the representation information that contractors submit related to performance-based payments. This is not a new requirement. It's a renewal of an existing information collection authorization. These renewals happen on a standard cycle, which typically is around every 3 years, and they almost always get approved. The only people who have a practical reason to engage with this notice are contractors who are already using performance-based payment structures on their contract, and they believe that OMB established burdens for competing. The associated representation is wrong, or the policy organization that tracks DFAR's information collection requirements as part of their advocacy work. So if either of those describe you, you have until June 3rd, 2026 to submit comments through regulation.gov.
That's the brief for this week. If you found this useful, subscribe. I do this every week. And if you want the full brief, the live session, and the ability to ask me questions directly, come join us inside GovCon Ready in 30 on School. The link is in the description. I'll see you next week.